Hey folks, it's Davey with Paragon again, answering HubSpot questions. Today's question is about permissions. The question is about trying to give access to certain people that may be vendors or partners outside the system. Very familiar with this. We are a partner and a vendor, so we deal with this a lot. They don't want to give super admin access, but want to be able to give enough that they can work in the system. Sometimes this can be a challenge because access for super admin does provide some things that might be outside the permission sets. We're not going to talk about those specific items today, but if you do run into a challenge and you can't find a permission set, it's probably because it's a super admin scenario, and you can usually find it within documentation in HubSpot or through support. But today we're just going to talk about general access and how to set up permission sets. So in order to use this, you will need an enterprise license, so either enterprise sales, marketing service, CMS, operations hub, whatever it may be, in order to access permission sets. So we're going to click on our cog up here to get to our settings. Within our settings, we're going to go down to users and teams. In users and teams, you'll notice up here at the top we have permission sets and we have presets. Let's just click on presets real quick. This allows us to set up a large number of people in a given area. But today we're going to talk about permission sets in general. So I'm going to create a permission set over here on the right. And I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call it Marketing Partner. And what this will allow me to do then is when I set somebody up, I'm going to be able to choose this as a set of permissions that's already here. What I don't want to do is set them as a super admin. And also, I don't have a template already set up for them, so I'm not going to work with a template. These are templates that maybe HubSpot already has. I suggest not using these because sometimes they don't give you the access that you need. They are pretty awesome, but for this, we don't want to use that today. We're actually going to come down here to narrow access with permissions. And this takes us to our normal permission set setup, which allows us to choose things like the CRM as to what they can touch and do. So what can they view and what can they edit and what can they delete. Maybe for your marketing person, you don't want them to delete anything, so you'll move all of these to none. So that way they can edit them, but they can't remove them from the system, right? If I go down a little bit further and we look at custom objects, it's the same thing. You can pick your specific custom objects that you have. You can look at other tools like should they be working in workflows. Maybe they can edit them, maybe they can view them. Depends on what type of work that they're doing. Maybe you don't want them to delete them. You can do bulk edits, imports, and exports probably a big one. Do you want to allow them to export data? This is pretty heavy because when you allow this permission, it allows them to take all the data that's in your system. So be very careful about who you give this to. Import is the same way. Even though they can't take data, import can actually change quite a few things in your system, and if you want to manage that and limit it, this might be a good one to watch. And maybe not give permission, but maybe run through a different person internally on your system. Just depends on how much access you're wanting to give them. Let's just go back up real quick and make sure that you're not missing tabs. So in the case of this marketing person, I want to make sure that I give them all the marketing access that they need. So that might be for the specific tools that they're working with. Hey, I want them to be able to publish our ads because maybe they're managing our ads. Maybe I want them to create our campaigns and edit them in our emails and where they're putting content in their socials. Okay. Same with the website tools, being able to work on the website maybe and building and publishing. Also, you may need other tools like HubDB and some of the design tools that may be associated with that, which is really helpful. Outside of that, then, once you've decided these permission sets, let's just go back up here across the board here. Once this has been determined, then you can go down and review. But I do want to look at one more, which is the account. The account is what gives us more access in the system. So maybe editing users and teams, presets that people maybe use as default settings. Probably don't want to give them billing access. This is usually the one where I tell people, I'm like, you could probably give them everything else, but if you could just remove this, this will keep them from taking over any financial control of the system that you don't want them to have. Once you're done with that, you can go down to the review access. And this tells you everything that they can do. So in contacts, they can edit everything and view everything. And you can kind of go through and just kind of take a good eye on what you're allowing them to do before you save this. Once you've saved this preset, now it's a preset as a marketing partner that when you put a user in and create a user, you can use it as a preset that assigns all of those permissions to them. Be careful in these presets as well because there is access to service and sales that do give seats. And so if you're constantly giving somebody a sales seat, it may add on additional seats and costs to you. Hopefully this helps you today as you look at permission sets and answers any questions that you have. Please look at our other videos if you have other questions, and thanks for joining us.